Hold on to Honorable Shri Tiwariji, Swamiji, and Namaskar to all of you. We will begin today's lecture with Shanti Path. Please sit upright, close your eyes. Those who know can recite with me, others can simply keep eyes closed and enjoy the Shanti Path. All of us can start Shanti Path together now. It's always a great pleasure to have Honorable Dr. Shri Tiwariji with us to bless us, enlighten us and guide us. And he is the senior-most lighting guide to Kaivalyadhama. Under his guidance and blessings we work. And he is the only disciple or rather direct disciple to Swamiji, looking after and guiding Kaivalyadhama for the last 65 years. And I'm sure many people would like to hear him online because of new news of Omicron virus fear and various other issues, weather changes and rain and all that. So many people have joined us online and some of you are here. Welcome to Kaivalyadhama. We will not take much time. And as I am very eager to listen to Honorable Dr. Shri Tiwariji and take his blessings, same I'm sure all of you and many people online. So I request Honorable Shri Tiwariji to guide us and bless us. Please take over the lecture. Thank you so much.
My namaste to all of you. See, remember, it is said that expectation upon achievement is either happiness or unhappiness. Whatever you are expecting, if you get what you are expecting, you will be happy. And if you get less than that, you will be unhappy. Therefore, my request to you all is, don't expect much from me, you will be happy. Yoga is a subject. Today, especially all over the world, people are practicing yoga very sincerely. And as you know, the Yoga Sutras are written nearly 2000 years before by Maharishi Patanjali. Our teacher, Swami Kaivalyadhama, has said when he started this institution in Lonavala, in 1924, nobody could think at that time that yoga could be scientifically experimented and analyzed. He was the first person. He said, yoga has a complete message for humanity. He says it has a message for the human mind, it has a message for the human body, also it has a message for human soul. When people come forward to carry this message not only in India, but farthest corner of the world. You can imagine his foresight. This he said in 1924, practically 100 years before. This was his first message. And before he left, a day before, he caught my hand and he said, Tiwariji, I have brought up this institution out of nothing. If it goes to nothing, I don't mind. But yoga should never be diluted. You can imagine the word of Swamiji is so important. I still remember I was sitting and he was holding my hand and telling this. And we have followed 100% what he said. Because there are two things. He was a person who wanted to follow the truth. For example, up to that time, people were thinking, even today, people are thinking that in Pranayama we get more oxygen. He was the first person to say, to discover that in Pranayama it is not the oxygen, but the CO2 is more important. See, what a revolutionary finding. And very simple example, he said, see, when you inhale and you hold the breath, it does not remain oxygen. Maximum part of it becomes CO2. And that affects our nervous system very calmly. We feel more peace. Automatically the blood pressure comes down. That was the discovery. You know, he has not left perhaps any posture or pranayama which was not scientifically analyzed. He was the first person who brought yoga close to science. So you can imagine the thinking. Nobody could think at that time, 1924, that yoga could be experimented scientifically. You know, when we look to the historical development of yoga, then, as I said, it was a very, after working with Sri Lokmanya Tilak, Swamiji decided that no, I must work in the field of yoga. We should try to explain what is the scientific background of every practice. Therefore, if you see the first number of Yoga Mimamsa, he has said that I do not know what will be the result of the research, but I can assure people the research will be published as it is. It will not be diluted. And that he did. His work, especially on asanas and pranayama, has won the praise of the world scientists. Everyone knows what he was. How could he think of the scientific research in yoga? People wonder. But he did. I'm supposed to say something about the pranayama and meditation. Remember one thing, yoga has been divided into two parts. One is called Bahiranga Yoga. Bahiranga Yoga is those practices which we are supposed to perform, which we are supposed to do. And Antaranga Yoga, Yam, Niyam, Asan, Pranayama, Pratyahara. It is a Bahiranga Yoga. You have to do it. And Dharana, Dhyan and Samadhi, these are the result. These are not, if it was so easy, I think everybody would have achieved Samadhi. Dharana, Dhyan and Samadhi is a result of your practices. It happens. It comes up. You have simply to practice Yam, Niyam, Asan, Pranayama, Pratyahara. First thing, this Ashtanga will take weeks if someone start explaining. But whatever little I have learned from Swamiji, a shadow of it, I will try to give you. See, the most important in yogic practice is our attitude. How we develop our attitude towards the others is very, very important. Simply if we start practicing postures, effect will be there, no question. But it will not be that effect which you start practicing yamas and niyamas. Yamas and niyamas form your personality. They bring your inside up. You grow. And in one line, if we want to explain yamas, it says, try to behave as you want others to behave with you. See how simple it is that you want other person to behave nicely, then please, you should remember this. And nothing is like that. That is why non-violent attitude is supposed to be the best which gives you a growth. It has been misunderstood. It doesn't say that ahimsa does not belong to coward. It belongs to a brave person who can hit but does not hit. So non-violence is an attitude which is most important in yoga. They say, try from your side, try to be peaceful. And think if that thing is established in the society or in the country, we will call it a Satyoga. It will not be Kalya. We should think, why do we become angry? Why we lose our temper? And accordingly, we should try to act. If we find that anger, violence is good, I don't think anybody will say that. Maybe he does not act, but by words he will never say it is bad. So, ahimsa, you don't want anyone should hurt you, then try not to hurt anyone. Very simple. Second is satya. Try not to lie. Because you don't want somebody should lie to you. Then why don't you start yourself? And see the importance of it, how people will behave with you. They say also, try not to claim something which does not belong to you. Respect it. Respect the ownership. See, nobody can say it is not important. Then comes a brahmacharya, which is most misunderstood. See, Brahma is the ultimate reality for us. Charya needs to move towards him. But I do not know why it has been explained and like absence of sex. Think, if the whole world start practicing that way, what will be the age of the creation? Maximum 100 years. That is not the thing. Is in our society, the age has been decided. Grahastha, no, Brahmacharya, Grahastha, Vanaprastha and Sannyas. 25, 25, 25, 25. Only reason is that you should be disciplined. Then there will be nothing but peace in the society. And fifth one is aparigraha. Try to know see how important it is. Try to know how much you need, not how much you desire. You desire many things. Then finally you see the date and throw. There is a difference between desire and need. Need should take first preference. Desire comes afterward. Desires are important. No, yoga does not deny it. But for the sake of desire, the need should not be sacrificed. And also you should know how much you need. So these are called yamas, and they are not compulsory rules, no. It is a discipline that you try to develop this habit from childhood. And you will find that there will be peace in you and will be peace around you. And second is, one is with only which you should do. You have to do. Then niyam are between you and others. No shouch, that try to be clean. See, it is not only clean, but they say try to be pure. Try to be natural. A plastic rose, as good as real one, will not give you the feeling when you touch the real rose. So shaucha, be pure from the inside. Don't collect words just to explain something which is not true. Then santosh. You should be contented. try your best. Whatever you have done, leave the result for nature to decide. So try to live life of contentment, not of discontent. Then third he says is, try to practice what you have learned. Try to practice with full understanding. Also know what it is, whether it suits you or not. Don't impose forcibly upon you. If you like it, practice it. Also know whereabout of this. What is it, a religion? It is something else, or it is. So everything you should know, then practice. Know it fully, swadhyaya. Then he says is, try to feel that in nature there is something superpower. Don't name it, don't say anything, but there is something. After all, in the material world, you feel life. From where it comes, what it is, you should try to know it. And with these 10 yamas and niyamas, you can imagine what the shape of the life will be. How will be your attitude? Sometimes, don't misunderstand it, they have not said, suppose that this finger, it is violence otherwise, but suppose this finger starts suffering from cancer, the remedy is to cut it away. So you should be very, very clear. Don't sacrifice the attitude of non-violence. Then, if need be, then you have to act according to the circumstances, how they are. So, then the question comes, which they have said, is yam niyam asana. Asana is mostly misunderstood. Because asanas, Patanjali is very, very clear. He has explained it thoroughly. It says, sthir sukham asana. Asana is one which gives you the steadiness and feeling of well-being. Remember, these two things are very important. Then, how to be done? Explains beautifully. There is a difference between asana done with a relaxed attitude and with a tension. Don't make asana as exercise. Prayatna shaithilya. There should be effortlessness. Anant samapatibhyam. Patanjali remembers that the tension may come from your mind also. You are performing asanas and you remember, I have left my door open. Immediately tension will be there. So, prayatna shaitil anant samapatibhyam. Try to concentrate in infinity. Then there will be result of asanas. Don't do asanas as a muscular exercise. Asanas are to be done with very relaxed attitude. So then tato dvandva anavihataha, then the conflicts in your mind will not arise. If they arise, you know how to do away with them. So this is the definition of asanas. They should never be done like gymnasts. They should never be done where your body becomes tense, breath becomes fast. Then they are not asanas. And you will not get the result what really it is meant for. And after asana, they have said, Patanjali is very clear that you know in Indian psychology, there is something like chitta. In Western psychology, there is no word for it. Chitta, mind, intellect and ego. These three together is called chitta. Sankalpa vikalpo hi manaha. The definition of mind is one which is never steady. It keeps on thinking. You think this way, then again you think opposite. I think again opposite. Sankalp and vikalp. This is the very nature of the mind, not to allow you to be concentrated. And we all know what is yoga, this ego is. Mind and ego, they are very close friends. Then third constituent is buddhi. Nishchayatmika buddhi. Say this is good for you, do it. And that helps you to develop, to grow. So that is why the definition, the difference between Western psychology and Indian psychology is one very permanent, which is Western psychology says there is a problem in the mind. Remember very well, problem in the mind, that is the concept of Western psychology. Indian psychology says no, mind is a problem. There is no problem in the mind. It always behaving according to its nature. Its nature is that it cannot be steady. It keeps on changing, always will not allow you to be one-pointed. Therefore, yoga's definition is yoga chitta vritti nirodha. To discipline, to channelize the behavior of mind is one of the points. Yoga does not start with the concept of God. It wants you to have the peace. It wants you to be steady. It wants you to go beyond the mind. And one of the very effective tools is pranayama. You know, because your mind and breath, they go together. If your mind is disturbed, breath will be disturbed. Thus we have experimented. If your breath becomes steady, mind will be steady. So that is why Patanjali says, and one of the very strong and effective tool is the practice of pranayama. This is said, pranayaman sarve prashushanti malayati. Those impurities which help mind to be more active, they are set aside, removed. But also it is said, don't देखा देखी कीना योग, छीजी काया बाढ़ा रोग. Therefore they have said, Guru Pradishta Margena Pranayamam Samabhyase. Learn from some teacher who knows about the pranayama. Because ayuktabhyasa yogena sarvarog samudbhava. If you practice wrongly, some other disorder will come up in you. Therefore, never practice pranayama by merely reading the books. देखा देखी कीना योग, छीजी काया बाढ़ा रोग. Clear warning. Otherwise, pranayamena sarve prashushanti malayati. Those impurities which are disturbing, which are making more your mind active, will be solved with the help of correctly doing pranayama. It happens. I give you my example. Swamiji was teaching me the pranayama where minimum retention of breath should be 2 minutes. I was a student. I tried to practice more Kapalbhati, which gives you strength to hold the breath more. So only one day I could do 2 minutes. Only one day, remember. And I went to Swamiji and said, Swamiji, now I can do 2 minutes pranayama. Okay, come at 4. I went at 4 o'clock. And I was holding the breath. Believe me, with my ego, in between, this happened. Swamiji said, okay, no more for 3 months. That's first practice nicely. Because mind wants you to be egoistic. But yoga is something where patience works as a medicine. It nothing but good, nothing but good. If you don't misunderstand, I say now I am about to enter into 90. Credit goes to yogic practices. So it is something which is self-experienced thing. So, you know, there are 2 periods. One period is with Patanjali Vadi. Those times, the purpose of pranayama was purely spiritual, purely samadhi. But after that, and there were 4 types of pranayama. You inhale, hold the breath, exhale, hold the breath, hold in between while inhaling, hold in between when you are exhaling. These 4 types of pranayama were there. But later on it was found that people are developing certain disorders. And when it was felt during the time of Matsyendranath, those 4 pranayama were developed very scientifically into 8. Because mainly it was thought that people should be benefited more. Hence, it must have been experienced and found what happens. So, 8 pranayamas were for different type of disorders and also for the spiritual growth. And that resulted wonderful. People started experimenting and experiencing. Because as I quoted, Pranayama sarve prashushanti malayati. All the impurities will be removed if you do pranayama nicely. So, 8 types of pranayams were Surya Bhedan, number 1, Ujjayi, Shitkari, Shitali, Bhastrika, Brahmari, Mursha, Plavani, Ityashtakumbhaka. These are the 8 pranayama having various effect on your body, curing many disorders and giving you benefit. I tell you one of my experience. I had prostate enlargement. Was admitted in the Bombay hospital. All the record is with me. And I thought they set the date for surgery. In my mind, because I have little Ayurvedic background, I thought, what is this enlargement? Why does it happen? So my answer came because what the gases are there. And also burning is because of pitta. This I thought. Nobody told me. In the night I was about to sleep. I went for urination and there I thought there. Then the answer came that why don't you do Uddiyana? Believe it, it is a record. I started practicing 5 Uddiyanas in the morning. And within 3 days, my prostate was normal. Doctor saw it. He said, no, you don't need any surgery now. Because in my mind, I thought when a negative pressure will be created by doing Uddiyana, exhaling out the breath, it will be squeezed. And once it is squeezed, it will feel better. This was my imagination. And that happened to be true. 3rd day, I was completely free from it. So, this is in pranayama, many things are there which can keep you healthy and remove certain disorders. So I stop here. In my next lecture, if it happens, I will go further. Thank you.
I'm sure everybody would like to listen a little more regarding meditation, dharana, ध्यान. अगर आप थोड़ा सा धारणा ध्यान के बारे में बता दें तो और अच्छा रहेगा.
See, in the beginning itself I said that the yoga is divided into 2 parts. One is which you practice. Another is which happens to you. Yam, Niyam, Asan, Pranayam, Pratyahar. These are Bahirang Yoga, you have to do it. And then something happens to you. So, as regards the pranayama is concerned, dharana, dhyan, samadhi is concerned, it is not a thing which can be taught. We have done a wonderful experiments in our lab. There was a person who used to go into samadhi when he was 5 years old. It is said, if you die At the stage where you are very close, you will be born with that only. And Mr. Karwalkar was his name. He was working in cooperative society. So when we came to know that he goes into Samadhi, we invited him, experimented. Many experiments were done. But it so happened that once we read an article where it was said that yoga is nothing but a self-hypnosis. Now, you know, Swamiji was very, very eager for. He said, let Tiwariji, you find out someone whom we can hypnotize. Luckily, those days, Mr. Max Colley from Sweden, the hypnotist, was visiting India and he was working in Mumbai. I came personally, requested him and he agreed that okay. So what happened was, we had to have two subjects. One was who used to go into Samadhi. Another, because the charge was yoga is nothing but a self-hypnosis. The second was to be hypnotized. And Max Colley came, the other person was hypnotized. Both the person, the stimuli were given to the second correct. First, it was pricked, pin was pricked on the thigh, for both. Second, there was a sound created by one cracker to measure the audible thing. Third, he was shown a very powerful light to see the optic reaction. And the fire was, we were hitting on the thigh. Remember, these stimuli given correct to the second. The person who was in Samadhi, the graph was a straight line. But the person who was hypnotized, pins were going out of graph. That means he was still aware, conscious inside, though he was unable to. Then we wrote, which was in British Journal published about this. And there is a vast difference between Samadhi and hypnotic condition. So, the pranayama is capable of taking you towards the deep meditation and samadhi. It is so powerful, the pranayama, you start feeling inside something. There is a transformation, not a change. A permanent transformation of personality comes to you. So, this is the difference. Hypnotic condition is a created one. Samadhi is not created one. Deep meditation is not created one. It comes from within. You are in it. It is not something artificial. You can see on the graph, yes, person is in deep meditation. Because it is a condition of our Indian psychology is that your mind is spread all over your organs. And that is not allowing you to be concentrated. But once you withdraw it and bring it at the center of your brain, you are in deep meditation. You are not aware about yourself. And that bring the transformed personality. It is not that I can do meditation like this. No. It has to happen. It has to happen because of your practices otherwise. Correctly. Thank you.
We will just take one or two questions if you have any queries.
Sir, this is my practical experience. मेरा practical experience है. I get a little palpitation. So whenever I do Om Ucharan, it definitely subsides. This is my practical experience.
Good.
अच्छा है करते रहिए, वो ऐसा कह रहे हैं.
Thank you so much.
Pranam, thank you for the talk. There are, for example, Vipassana, just concentrating on breath, also leads to meditation. So I did not understand why meditation happens but cannot be tried and achieved. Is my understanding correct?
See, there is a Vipassana is a very good practice, no question about it. But because we believe that if rightly done Vipassana must lead to meditation, no question. I am convinced. But why it does not happen, that is subject to be analyzed.
What is
enlightenment? And is it connected to yoga?
Enlightenment to know who you are, to experience yourself on different level. Because that is where we come to know. One thing you must agree, that we all are living a hypnotized life. What has been told you in childhood, it is still black for you. Nobody is there who can say, no, I am not. Because everything has been told from childhood, and with those words you are behaving. Whatever your name is given, you think you are that. Suppose you change your name then. So, the real thing will come to know who are you cannot describe it. Anirvachaniya. They say, you merely experience. They say, जो गुगो मीठे फल को रस अंतर्गति ही भाव है. जैसे गुआ आदमी जो नहीं, वो सिर्फ अनुभव करता है हम मीठा खा रहे हैं, कह नहीं सकता. इसी तरह ये कहते हैं कि मेडिटेशन का यू कांट डिस्क्राइब, देयर आर नो वर्ड्स, बिकॉज यू आर टोटली ट्रांसफॉर्म्ड.
देखो, अस्थमा और ये आइस का विजन का प्रॉब्लम है, तो उसमें कुछ मेडिटेशन बेनिफिट है क्या?
अस्थमा है और आंखों की प्रॉब्लम है, उसके लिए कुछ ध्यान प्राणायाम कुछ करेंगे तो फायदा होगा क्या?
100%. I am an old patient of asthma. I belong to UP. There are no rains. Means as in Lonavala, I came to Lonavala when I came it was 300 inches rain. And after second year I started suffering from asthma. Swamiji gave me Vastrabhati. And evening food only one chapati. I am now going to enter into 90. I am free from it. Abhyas, sincerely practice.
हिंदी में हिंदी
हिंदी में आप अभ्यास शुरू करिए, मंडे से वर्कशॉप होने वाला है, आप अनुभव करिए। सब बात का निचोड़ यही है कि अनुभव करिए और उस अनुभव में आपको जो ज्ञान मिलेगा या फायदा मिलेगा वो सोमवार से शनिवार के बीच में मिलेगा, तो आप अभ्यास करिए, ओके, और ये वर्कशॉप ज्वाइन करिए। दूसरा एक मैं आपको बताना चाहता हूँ कि 90 में हमारे आदरणीय श्री तिवारी जी पहुंचे हैं और आज सुबह ही लोनावाला से आए, उसके बाद 3 घंटे की मीटिंग अटेंड की एक्टिवली और बाकी काम किए और अभी लेक्चर दे रहे हैं। तो ये योग का अभ्यास होता है। अगर आप सच्ची में योग करें तो इस तरह का सामने उदाहरण है हमारे। तो मैं यही कहना चाहूंगा कि सब सुनना, देखना, बोलना तो है, लेकिन उदाहरण सामने अगर है तो हम उसे अनुभव कर सकते हैं, उसे जी सकते हैं। तो हमको वही सीख लेनी है जो हमारे सामने है। Alright, so I think we will end the session with 3 Om chanting, but before that, we are starting workshop from Monday. It will be online as well as offline. So please register today or tomorrow, tell your friends and family. हम अंत करेंगे प्रोग्राम का 3 ओम उच्चारण के बाद। आप सभी लोग सीधे बैठिए, आंखें बंद कर लीजिए और कुछ पलों के लिए शांत रहिए। Let there be yogic joy on your face. Let there be relaxation around you, inside you. We all will chant Om together. All of us breathe in. I cannot thank enough, but आपका आशीर्वाद और जो आपने आज समय दिया उसके लिए हम सभी आपको नमन करते हैं और ऐसा ही आशीर्वाद बना के रखिए। धन्यवाद आप सभी को आने के लिए भी और वर्कशॉप ज्वाइन करिए। थैंक यू।
हमारी तरफ से आप सभी को धन्यवाद।